Hello everyone, it's been a little while. I was quite busy with work and I kept up with streaming every week, so if you want to catch me there, you can. And because it is fall, the leaves are yellow and Halloween is coming, I wanted to do a little book video about thrillers and horror books that I have read that I recommend for this spooky season. I usually read more romance and fantasy, but I don't know, something about September and October. I want to get in the mood and read some more thrillers and horrors. So I love horror movies and books and video games, although I can't play them because once I'm scared, I just lose all mobility and I can't do anything about it. But I've prepared a nice selection for you. There is like more cozy books and more like gruesome horror and some nice like stressful thrillers. I'll be putting like pictures of the book cover there because I'm reading all my books on my Kobo. I wanted to quickly like show you my beautiful Kobo case, well, pouch. It's from the Quirky Cup Collective and like it's so nice. I love it. I wanted to like show it to you. Oh, there's a nice little inside and the tassel is so cute and this little Alice in Wonderland. So my book opened. So here you can see my nice Kobo and I'm happy to have the color version because the like book cover looks so nice on there, but yeah, I won't be able to show you like nice paper books. So here you'll have the little covers. There's also a little pocket in the back. That's where I keep my little pen. If you wanna like Kobo color review or something, comparison between the color and the black and white version, I could also do it. There's plenty of them I've seen on YouTube, but I could give my grain of salt. So, starting like soft, not too scary, there's this short novel from 1892. I think most of you probably read it in school, but I was going in school in French, so I don't know, it wasn't on the program. I read it last year, I think. It is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It's about this woman who is kept captive by her husband under the pretext that she needs to heal and get better and she needs rest, but she goes like slowly mad looking at the wallpaper. It is not super spooky, but very moody, tense, and quite sad about how realistic it is. How many women were just institutionalized and going like crazy. Yeah, if you haven't read it, it's easy to read. You can read it in a day. I'm quite a slow reader because of dyslexia. I read at the speed of an audiobook, I would say. I read aloud in my head. And if I don't, I just do not process anything. The second one is from a series. It's called Wish You Were Here by Rita Mae Brown. It's a series from the 90s and it's so nice and cozy. It's the Miss Murphy series, and Miss Murphy is a cat. So she's the cat of this postmaster and she's got a sibling corgi, and together they solve crime. It's like not very high stake. There is murder, but it's not described like super gory or anything. It's quite low stakes. This one is in a small town. There's a murder and the postmaster realized that each of the person murdered were sent a postcard saying wish you were here with a picture of a tombstone. So yeah, they all investigate and it's really adorable. I'll probably keep reading that series. Now for thrillers, I've got quite a few of those. The last one I've read is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and it was so good. I had a little trouble at the beginning because there is so many characters and the chapters go back and forth between different characters, but you get into it, and then like at every chapter end, you're like gasping, and there's so many cliffhangers. And I was like, and you think so many people could have done it, but basically, the little synopsis is it's 1975, and Barbara Van Lars is missing from summer camp, but like 14 years ago, was it? Her brother also disappeared. So there's the simultaneous back and forth and what happened back in the days with her brother, and it's not too like descriptive. Also, I would say it's not like murder and gruesome, but a lot of thrills, a lot of mystery, a lot of like little threads that you can follow. And I really like also all the dynamics of the rich family that have the land and the summer camp. And it reminds me, it's another book, but I've read Pineapple Street. That's about also the life of the rich. And I like those little sneak peek into other universes. The next one is so good if you like murder podcasts. It's Sadie by Courtney Summers. It's about a podcaster that receives a call to follow girls that have been missing since her little sister has been murdered. So you follow this podcaster and also Sadie, who's looking to avenge her little sister. But the podcast part is so well done. It really feels like a true crime podcast. I've also heard that the audiobook is very good for that one. Next is Someone We Know from Shari Lapena. And I've started this book right after A Flicker in the Dark, which I do not recommend. I really dislike that book. It was full of plot hole and like nothing made sense, and the plot twist was like, okay, but he didn't give us any clue towards that one. Anyways, I was looking for something else and I discovered Shari Lapena, and I really liked that book. I TBR'd a lot of her other books. And so the synopsis for that one is that this little housewife learns that her son has been breaking in other people's houses, and because she felt guilty, she writes anonymous letters to her neighbors to tell them, sorry, like my son has been in your house, but someone gets murdered in the little neighbor, and everybody starts to get suspicious. They're all hiding things, and like everybody knows a little something, and they won't like share their tidbits. And it was, a really nice little thriller. I liked how she crafted all the relationship. I think that's a thing you'll see come back in my reviews, but I really like the relationship in my book. Then I have quite a lot of books by Riley Sager. I've been really enjoying his thrillers. At first, I didn't know he was a man because the female protagonists in his book I felt were very multi-dimensional and pretty realistic and multifaceted, I guess. And yeah, I discovered this is a pen name and it's a male writer, but I really enjoy his characters. Another thing I really like from his books is that you never quite know if there is paranormal explanation or if it's just a perfectly rational and logical explanation for why things are happening. So the first one I've read is Lock Every Door. It's set in New York City. There's this girl who gets an apartment for free. Big red flags. They say it's just because they don't want the like luxury apartment to stay empty, so that's why they pay people to live there. There's a set of rules, but seriously, like in this day and age, a free apartment, please. And then one of her neighbors disappears, and she will be looking for her and discovering things about this apartment. And I've devoured that one in like 2 or 3 days, I think. I really enjoyed that one. So I've been reading so many of his books after that. Then there's Survive the Night, which is about a woman who gets a lift from a very suspicious stranger. And there's so many twists, and yeah, that's the thing I really like about those books. Then Home Before Dark has very like Haunting of Hill House vibes. This woman inherits her father's home. Well, she thought they sold it, but they kept it in the family ever since. They say it's haunted, and our dad has written a book about how haunted the house is, but they've been estranged because she's thinking it's bullshit, and now she's at the house. She wants to sell it, but spooky things keeps happening. Then there is The House Across the Lake, which is this woman who's grieving the loss of her husband. She goes back to the cabin to like grieve and get better, and she makes friends with her neighbors across the lake, and the woman gets murdered and she thinks the husband did it and she spies on them, and it's such a nice fall themed book, you know? And the most recent one I've read is The Only One Left. I think I read it this summer, and it's about a nurse that is hired to take care of this woman who's been accused or suspected to kill all her family, and she's the only one left. But again, there's spooky things happening. Is there a murderer? Like, the nurse that was here before her disappeared, and I don't know, there's something very nostalgic about his book that feel like good old thriller movies. Next, there is horror. The more like gruesome and creepy books. The one I've been reading these past few years, when I got back into reading, is Grady Hendrix. I love how there's a little bit of like body horror and gore in these books, but not too much. And some of these characters are very unlikable, but that's something I kind of enjoy. I'm not a fan of like perfect protagonists that are so good and pure and do always the right thing. Like, his characters are somewhat unlikable, but there's a lot of like relationship issues and struggles that I really like. And like Riley Sager, there's something paranormal or spooky, and you never quite know, is it in the character's mind? Like, are they having psychosis, or did it really happen, or is there a perfectly reasonable explanation? The first book of his I read is Horrorstor. It's built like an IKEA catalog. It's about this IKEA-like store. Every chapter, there's this little picture of furniture. But the synopsis, it's about these employees of this IKEA-like store that stay the night to investigate because there has been some vandalism and things were broken in the morning. So they stay the night to figure out what's happening, and weird things happen. There's this duo's like trying to film it and make a like YouTube ghost video. But there's some like very, very gross parts. The body horror in this one, it was a lot. Sometimes I was like, reading my book, I'm like, oh. I think there's this similarity between Riley Sager and Grady Hendrix writing, where it really feels nostalgic, like a good old horror movie. And you don't know if it's paranormal or if it's real. You don't know. You hate some of the characters. And yeah, that's something I enjoy. So if you like one, you might like the other. It's got similar vibes, but yeah, Grady Hendrix has some real horrible things in there. Then there's My Best Friend Exorcism. It's set in 1988, and it's two best friends. They go for a night swim, and one of them comes out weird, and she keeps getting weirder and doing strange things, and her friend thinks she's possessed, and she'll try to save her. This one was a little bit slower, but I still enjoyed it. And after that, I read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That's a mouthful. It's this mom in the suburbs in the 90s. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she has a book club, and there's a new neighbor that moves in, and strange things keep happening. They think he's a vampire, and they will try to get rid of him. This one, again, so much disgusting things. It's it's like in the South in the 90s, so there's a little racism and a little sexism, but it's kind of part of the settings. Anyway, this is not an analysis. There is some criticism on that book for that, and I get why. But yeah, if you enjoy like stay-at-home vampire mom hunters, it's kind of nice. Again, like the protagonists are not that smart. They do the move like in the horror movies. And currently I'm reading How to Sell a Haunted House, and I think it's gonna be one of my favorites. I'm just a third in, but it's about this woman. Her parents die. She has to go back to the house to sell it, and like her mom was a collector and a maker of dolls and puppets. And I hate puppets and dolls. I don't know if it's like growing up with Chucky's movie and the Annabelle's movie and like the ventriloquist and Pantin? It's Pantin in French, but yeah, I guess it's just puppet. But from Goosebumps and Buffy and like, ugh, those are spooky things. So I really like it so far. There's also this sister and brother relationship, and I love some sibling tension. And yeah, I think it's gonna be one of my favorite. My other favorite was Horrorstor. The other two, I liked them, but they weren't like as good. And I thought to finish, if you're here because you like thrillers and horror, you probably have read some Stephen King, but on the chance that you haven't, I thought I would tell you about my favorite ones. You can't go wrong, I think. Misery is my favorite of all time. It's this author who gets like stuck in the snow, and he gets saved by his number one fan, and she won't let him go. She wants him to write more. That's one of my favorite ones. One of the first one I read, I think. The Shining also is a childhood treasured memory. If you don't know, again, those are like very popular books, so I'm just a quick sentence to describe them. This family is staying in a hotel in the top of a mountain in the snow, and they have to take care of the hotel for the winter, and the dad is a writer and he's slowly going mad. I like books about people going mad. Then there is Hit. I love the movies, and I've listened to the audiobook. There is some unhinged things about this one, but it's a classic. I love it. Some children are trying to fight a shape-shifting clown that is using their fears against them. And then there's Pet Sematary. This family finds a pet cemetery where you can bury pets and they come back to life, but not quite the same. And they try to bury their child, and it comes back very not the same. The last one, Carrie, this teenage girl, is bullied and she discovers she has telekinesis power and get revenge on the whole school. There is so many Stephen King books, and he keeps writing so fast that how can you keep up? But those are my favorites. I also wanted to do a quick note to my childhood, teenage years of discovering horror books with a French-Canadian author called Sénécal. I've read so many of his books, but if I were to recommend two of my favorite, there's 5150, like, how do I say it in English? It's like 5150 Rue des Ormes. It is a young man who is kidnapped by this family, and he's writing a journal, and he's trying to escape and negotiate with the father of the family to get freed. And there is Aliss, which is a take on Alice in Wonderland. This girl comes from the suburbs, and she gets in Montreal, and things are quite weird. There is a lot of like sex, drug, and violence in that one, so tread carefully, I guess. But yeah, those were my entry into the horror genre, and they have a special place in my heart. I think a few of them have been like they have been made in movie in Quebec and then remade into the US. So you probably can find translation, or if you want to like catch up on your French, you can get them in French. But yeah, those are two of my favorite ones. So I hope you found books to add to your TBR. Mine is just exponentially growing. Just trying to catch up with Brandon Sanderson's work. I don't know how I'll do it, because as I said, I'm quite a slow reader, and I have plenty of other hobbies. Like I do cross stitch, and I like to color, and I play video games, and I spend so much time doing my nails, you know? Anyways, I'd love to know what you're reading for Halloween. If I didn't talk about one of your favorite books and you want to recommend it, please tell me, I want to know. And you can follow me on Storygraph and Goodreads to see what I'm reading. And I hope you have a nice, spooky Halloween. And I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.